If you look at the three-row luxury crossover segment, Acura's MDX was one of the early adopters, first coming to the market back in 2001. Now, lucky for Acura, it was the right vehicle introduced at the right time because it quickly became the company's best-selling model over the years. So now, Acura has sent me over the latest version. This is the 2019 MDX A-Spec, a new sport appearance package that really changes the actual look of this vehicle. But the big question I want to answer is this still the king of the three-row luxury crossover segment? That's what we're here to find out. So the current body style MDX has been around since 2014. This represents the third generation, and it quickly grew to become the company's best-selling model, with the company moving consistently around the mid 50,000 units annually, which their sales keep increasing every year as Americans continue to devour these crossovers. Now you can see the design of the MDX hasn't really changed much, although they did make a huge restyling to the front fascia on this car back in 2017. This particular A-Spec model is actually new for 2019. It's painted in this very attractive shade of Apex Blue Pearl. It's a really bright color. If you guys remember when this car first came out 3-4 years ago, it really introduced a new conservative design language. You can see Acura is kind of going away with that. You've got the new corporate diamond pentagon grille here with the kind of black chrome accents that you get with the A-Spec package. There's a massive Acura logo in the center that houses the adaptive radar cruise control. And then like all the other Acuras, you have the Jewel Eye LED headlights, which are actually a full LED. You have an LED daytime running light. You have LED low, and then LED high beams on the inner end, and then you have an LED turn signal down there. The A-Spec model also includes these LED fog lights in addition to a little bit more of these larger grille openings, the dark chrome accents on here. Overall, it's a really nice looking car. It literally just looks like a bigger version of the all-new Acura RDX. So when you look at the side profile of the refreshed MDX, you can see this is really where that Apex Blue Pearl shows off the lines of this SUV a lot more. It's still a relatively attractive looking crossover vehicle. Now, speaking of which, let's talk about the wheels. This is the A-Spec model. You can tell there's an A-Spec badge here on the fender. And these are kind of the specific wheels you get with the A-Spec. They're a 5-spoke design with a gray finish. These are 20-inch wheels wrapped in two 65/40 series tires. Finally, some decent rubber on the MDX, though I am a little bit surprised Acura didn't go with like a 21-inch wheel, considering they do offer the same combination on the refreshed Honda Pilot. Now, the size of the MDX is actually very similar to the Pilot because it rides on the same platform. Its wheelbase at 111 inches long and its overall length of around 196 inches long really makes it about the same size as the Pilot. I believe the Pilot is about 0.2 inches longer, which is kind of negligible. The biggest difference is the MDX is about an inch narrower and 3 inches lower in the height because they wanted to give this version a little bit of a more sportier look, although it did eat up into the actual interior space. So remember 5 years ago when Acura first showed off the new MDX, they hid those exhaust pipes underneath the bumper, but you can see that is no longer the case. Acura really listened to the criticism. This A-Spec model has these very fat oval exhaust tips sticking out of the back. They're actually larger than what you get on the standard model, and they're actually connected to the pipes, so these aren't actually like a trim piece like some competitors. You also have this rear underbody diffuser here. It's supposed to help with the airflow. It just kind of looks better. I like how it's black painted. It goes really well with this Apex Blue color, in addition to all the rest of the little trinkets here, like the black chrome that you get across the actual badge here in the middle. Now, a power tailgate, of course, is included. It does have the hands-free function, which is nice, of course. And then looking at the cargo area, because the MDX is a little smaller than the Pilot, you have a little bit less cargo space. This is at around 16 cubic feet of space. It's about an inch less than what you get in the Pilot. Acura does give you a nice little storage area underneath here. And then if you guys want to, you can fold down the third row seat here, which is just a manual folding. Some competitors offer a power folding third row. You fold down those seats, you roughly double the space. And if you fold down everything, Acura says it gives you just under 70 cubic feet of space, which is about 15 cubic feet less than what you get in the Honda Pilot. So moving on to the interior of the refreshed MDX, you can see here's the current key fob for the car. It's a rather large key fob, but it does feel relatively sturdy. You can see there is remote start included on the A-Spec model, which Acura used to only include on the advanced trims. If you want to activate the remote start, just push that lock button, push and hold the engine hold button. A green LED light will flash on the remote to let you know once the vehicle has been started. If you want to shut the engine off, you can just push and hold the engine hold button again. A red light will flash and then it'll tell you that the engine's been shut off. This is useful, especially when you guys aren't standing by the car. Now, like other vehicles with the keyless access system, if you approach the door handle, you can see there's a button on the door handle. If you push that button, it locks. The mirrors also electrically fold. Acura's do a sensor on the back of the handle. When you touch the handle, the doors will unlock for you. Now, looking at the interior of this A-Spec model, you can see nothing really has changed too much. Although Acura has made a couple of changes, which I'll go over in just a moment. These seats haven't really changed either. They do have a new material where it's a suede leather Alcantara with the nice contrasting piping and stitching. Acura offers a red leather interior on the A-Spec model, which my tester doesn't have. This is just the black leather. This is a 14-way power adjustable seat with 2-person memory. The seats themselves are also heated and cooled. That's included as part of the A-Spec package. But getting into the interior, you can see really good, easy step-in height that you expect with an SUV. And then when you shut the door, it still sounds pretty solid. So that's all adding to that, nice first impressions with this vehicle. Now, when you want to start the vehicle up, just put your foot on the brake, push the red button here to fire up the engine. Now you can see it's got a power tilt telescoping steering wheel, which is nice. The A-Spec model also throws in these red accented gauges, which also look nice, although the helper screen in the center is definitely looking a little bit small compared to the full LCDs that you get on some competitors. And then on the rest of the interior, you can see the materials are pretty much not class competitive. They're slightly below because some competitors offer like a full leather dash. Acura doesn't do that. Instead, they just kind of do a soft touch padded graining material on this upper dash. You have this carbon fiber look trim with the silver painted plastic. It's all soft touch down here, which is nice. The door panels have the same material as the dashboard with more of that silver painted plastic. Same accents on the door handles here. You have one touch express up down for all 4 windows, which is definitely nice. You expect that. There's a nice little handle here. It's a padded armrest. There's more storage down here, along with a couple of buttons here to open up your power liftgate. More buttons down here. The steering wheel, you can see, is slightly different on the A-Spec model. You have a perforated leather on the actual steering wheel, which is definitely nice. It's got a nice, area where you can rest your fingers there. You have paddle shifters to control the 9-speed transmission. Lots of buttons here. This is not the newer steering wheel that you've seen on the new RDX, but you can see buttons here for your cruise control, for your audio controls, for the adaptive cruise control system. Like the fact that this is a power tilt and telescoping wheel, as I said. Now, this infotainment system, this is definitely the older Acura infotainment system. Thankfully, it is the slightly updated version. As you can see, it's got Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, but this portion here isn't a touchscreen. This is the touchscreen, which this screen has been redesigned in terms of its layout, but it's definitely a small 7-inch display. Acura really should have just combined that into one, which they kind of did with the new RDX, although it's kind of got that, different orientation where it's that wide screen as opposed to, the tall screen, which like something that Tesla does. But this, to me, is probably the weakest link of the car. I mean, the Apple CarPlay is nice, but it's kind of like putting a Band-Aid on this system because, you do have, the Waze integration when you have the new iOS 12, which is nice. And they've definitely improved the speed of this. It's not quite as laggy as it was before. But as you can see, the graining, the quality of the screen is definitely lacking when you look at it. It just looks like it's from like an iPhone 6 as opposed to like an iPhone 10 nowadays. So it's definitely behind the times. Going back to the Acura system, look at that navigation display. That is so 2005. Again, they've got a newer map display in the newer Hondas and the new Acura RDX. So this is probably the worst aspect of the MDX. For me, it'd be a deal breaker, but at least Acura has given you, Apple CarPlay. Just put the smartphone button here. That'll take you to the Apple CarPlay. So it kind of helps lessen the blow a little bit. When you put the vehicle into reverse, you do have a backup camera here, which is a very basic backup camera. You do have rear parking sensors, but no 360. You do also have rear cross-driver alert. If you want the 360 camera, you have to go to the advanced trim. I really wish Acura just included that on this A-Spec model. It would have been nice. You do have 3 different views here. You can see there's a top-down view, a wide view, a normal view, all that stuff. But Again, I've seen better backup cameras in a lot of this car's competition. Over here, you do have a traditional volume knob, which is nice, but no tuning knob. You have to instead go over here where you can do like a direct tune, or you can just tune it there on the screen. There are often times where the screen is displaying audio information here and then audio information here, which again, you don't really need to do. But that's just why it has two screens. You can see if you want to go to your heated seats or cooled seats, it's all in here, which is a little bit more on the annoying side, how it's in the screen here. I would just prefer an actual hard button, which I know Acura offers on the new RDX. So they're going to redesign this and give us the newer system, which is going to be nice. But until then, you know, this is the older system. So if you guys are looking at an MDX, you kind of have to deal with this. On the plus side, this may also be very familiar if you guys just don't want to learn how to use the new, true touchpad display. This is just a nice touchscreen, which, has been around for a few years. Acura's been using this for quite a few years. Then you can use this knob to kind of go around the navigation display here, which again is super old. This controls the 9-speed transmission. Acura has updated the programming, which I'll talk about in the test drive. You can see drive, neutral, and then drive, and then sport, or I'm sorry, this is reverse, and then this is park. And then you have your dynamic mode selector here, which cycles between comfort, normal, and sport. There's no Sport Plus. This is an SUV, remember. This vehicle does have start-stop where you can turn this off. You have a nice cup holder here. A little bit more storage here where you can close that. And then like other MDXs, you have this really big storage bin right here, which is nice. You can lift this up. It's got your USB ports in there, 3 of them actually. This is the only one for if you guys want to connect the CarPlay, and then these are just for charging an aux port. And then you have this nice little lid that kind of folds up and down. This is actually 2-tier storage as well, which is good, and then the lid slides forward. So this is really nice. This is very comfortable. This is reminiscent of, or it reminds you of the fact that this car is based on the Acura, or the Honda Pilot, which again goes back to the Odyssey minivan. Over here you can see there is a decent sized glove compartment, which is damped, lined with felt, although it could be a little bit larger. The seats, I find them to be really comfortable and supportive. Above you, a standard size sunroof is included. No panel roof is available on this car. Really strange considering they offer that on Pilot. Another thing that's missing, no heated steering wheel. If you guys want the heated wheel, you have to go to the advanced model. And then also this vehicle has no head-up display, which it should have, honestly, at this price point. Thankfully, the dated tech in this vehicle and some of the lack of features is offset by really good view out of the front, a nice spacious feeling cabin with big side mirrors, comfortable seats, and if that's important to you, you're still going to find a lot to like with the current Acura MDX. So the MDX has always been a very popular family vehicle. So how does the 2019 model still stack up? Well, getting back here, you can see the floor is basically completely flat, which makes it really nice for seating 3 people across. This particular one has the actual bench seat, but you can also get bucket seats if you guys want, which does lower the seating capacity to 7. And in terms of the actual space, you can see plenty of leg room, good foot space underneath here. I could easily sit and kind of cross my legs, and then I've got plenty of headroom. Now the A-Spec model is based off the tech in terms of features, so you do get rear seat climate control, your own set of climate control, and then 2 quick charging USB ports here. What is missing, unfortunately, is heated rear seats, and then no retractable sunshades. You have to go to the advanced model. I'm also noticing another feature that's missing, no panoramic sunroof. Really surprised because Acura or Honda offers that on the Pilot, which is just strange. Now, you can also add in like a rear seat entertainment system. If you guys go for the advanced model, it'll have like a big 16-inch display. Honestly, most people are probably not going to get that since kids nowadays they have iPads. There is a nice little armrest here that folds down that gives you 2 cup holders. The seats themselves back here, they do slide forward and back to give you rear seat passengers a little bit more space, and they also have a nice little recline function as well. So the comfort in the second row is not bad, but let's hop into that third row and see if it actually can hold adults. So the third row seat in a lot of these smaller mid-size SUVs is pretty useless for adults, but let's see how the MDX actually fares. Now, when Acura introduced this model in 2014, they introduced a nice way to get back here. There's 2 buttons. There's one down here and there's one at the top here. Whenever you push this button, it kind of just hydraulically pushes the seat forward, which is really nice, and it kind of reveals a pretty decent amount of room to get back here. Now let me get back here to actually entertain you guys. I'm 5'7", keep that in mind. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this seat does slide forward and back, but this is with the seat all the way back. So getting back here, I'll move over to this side. My knees are definitely up against the seat back, but you can again have somebody in the second row kind of move the seat forward to give me a little bit more space. There's decent headroom back here, and again, this is only seating 2 because the MDX is about an inch narrower versus the Pilot, which seats 8. In terms of the materials, it's all hard touch plastic, but Acura does give you, cup holders here, and then no rear seat vents, it looks like in the third row, which is kind of disappointing. It really could use a pano sunroof to kind of let you have a little bit more light. These windows are a little bit on the smaller side, but overall the third row is definitely tight. But I'd say if you move the seat up, it is usable for somebody who's under 6 feet on shorter trips. So under the hood of the A-Spec model, unfortunately, those of you thinking that Acura has added more power to kind of make this more of a Type S, you're going to be disappointed. This is still the same 3.5 liter single overhead cam V6 with direct injection. The motor hasn't really changed since Acura first showed this car back in 2014. The numbers are the same, 290 horsepower and 267 pound-feet of torque. Now, if you guys want, there's also a hybrid version available that's not available with the A-Spec model, though. It's either only in tech or advanced trim. That's a 3-liter V6 with 3 electric motors. That's a different review. This is all paired with a 9-speed automatic transmission. It's the same ZF 9-speed that they introduced back in 2016. They replaced the 6-speed. Acura says they've tinkered with it a little bit. They've made some adjustments to the shift programming, so we'll talk about that in the driving dynamics. Now, the MDX is capable of towing up to 3,500 pounds, and it's available in either front-wheel drive or super handling all-wheel drive, like this particular one. With the all-wheel drive, it's rated at 19 in the city, 25 on the highway, which is one less because of the larger 20-inch wheels that this model gives you. Let's get on the road and see how it all performs. So although I'm pretty familiar with this third generation MDX, I have to say, when Acura first dropped this car off and I saw that gorgeous blue color with the gray finish wheels, I was actually a little excited. This car reminds me, or kind of looks almost like an MDX Type S if Acura ever made one, which they say, of course, Type S models are coming. They've got a new twin-turbo V6 that they're kind of putting in the works. But this A-Spec model is basically just an appearance package. So you still have the same adaptive dampers that you get on some of the other MDX products, although the advanced model is the one that gives you the true adaptive dampers. This, of course, just has, you know, the drive mode selectors between comfort, normal, and sport. As I said, I'll leave it in sport mode for the majority of the time. But, you know, just going down the road, the MDX still has a really nice ride quality, even in its sport setting. It has very good visibility through here. You can kind of just see everything. It's a very commanding view of the road. You have big side mirrors here. You have really comfortable seats. So this is still an impressive family car in that regard. So Acura kind of nailed it there. The steering in this car is also electric power steering, although Acura's kind of done their part to kind of make it a little bit sportier. The MDX is definitely still one of the sportier offerings, but I am noticing the steering is a little bit lighter than where I'd probably want it to be. Especially considering this is, you know, this car's mission to be a little bit sportier. But let's put our foot down here, put it into sport mode. The engine reminds me of the same engine in the Pilot. It's a great V6. It kind of just screams, which is really nice. Lots of power. And a great noise. I mean, you hear the VTEC induction howl, you hear the changeover, so all of that's kind of gonna, you know, satisfy the Honda faithful, the Acura faithful, with that VTEC crossover noise, just the acceleration. I mean, 290 horsepower means this crossover will get to 60 in around 6.5 seconds, and then because it has super handling all-wheel drive, there's no drama. Just kind of put your foot down, and the car will sort its power, it'll shift its power front, side to side. It's all really nice. And then if you want, you can put it into an actual sport mode in the transmission, which does a better job at kind of dropping down gears. Although I will say the 9-speed auto in this car, it's still that ZF 9-speed. It's not the, you know, lovely 10-speed that I've tested on the other newer Honda and Acura products. And this is still the weakest link. Now, it's definitely improved significantly versus when Acura first put the 9-speed in this car back in 2016. But I find that when I put my foot down, even in sport mode, there's a slight hesitation, a slight delay. And it all just has to do with the fact that there's a better transmission out there. So for me, the weakest link is still the 9-speed. Will it still get the job done? Yes. And most of you probably won't even notice it. But really, if you guys have driven a lot of the other, you know, transmissions, you know, namely the 8 speeds that ZF even makes, it's just a better overall transmission. Super handling all-wheel drive, you can literally feel it vector the torque side to side, which is nice. You saw a little bit of a traction light blinking there, but there's no drama. This is one seriously quick SUV that makes really great noises. It's still a driver's SUV very much. I'm gonna try to brake torque it here and see if I can get anything better. This is still seriously one impressive SUV, so you gotta love a V6. The V6 is great. Now, going down the road here, I'm gonna put it back into its regular drive mode setting here. And as I said earlier, it's got great visibility, it's got a great ride quality. And if you guys want, you can even put the super handling all-wheel drive information here at the top of the screen here, where it'll actually show you where the torque is going side to side. It's kind of a rudimentary screen. It's a little bit old. It's a very small screen, as I said earlier, but It actually will show you where the torque is going. Remember, this has the ability to send up to 100% of the torque to one individual wheel to help kind of oversteer you around a corner. So it's kind of unnecessary. You really don't even notice it working until you floor the accelerator in a turn. You can feel it kind of pushing the car, rotating it around that corner. But how many people are going to drive their SUV like that? Most of you are going to probably just put it into comfort mode or normal mode and just drive the vehicle down the road. And this is where the MDX really excels. The steering does get lighter in this mode. So when you're finding yourself around some tight corners like this, you're probably going to want to put it into sport mode and then start pushing it, where this thing will seriously surprise you. It's got a great chassis, and you definitely feel how solid this car is. It's very quiet also in the inside, aside from, you know, the engine screaming, which is a good thing. There's very little road noise in here, very little wind noise. So Acura has definitely done a good job with refining this car. Now, keep in mind, if you guys go for the advanced model, I think they put even thicker glass on that vehicle, so it's even quieter versus this model, which I already think is really quiet. Now, Acura Watch is their full suite of safety technology, which is the self-driving stuff. That actually is standard on every MDX, which Acura did back in 2017. And it works pretty well. It's got active lane keep assist, it's got their collision mitigation braking, it's got full speed range adaptive cruise control, which, you know, works well. What I don't like about Acura and Honda products is you have to manually turn on the the lane keep function, and you have to have the actual main cruise control switch turned on to actually have that turned on. So I kind of just wish it was always, you know, turned on. Especially if I leave it on, I want it to be on. So Acura and Honda kind of forces you to turn it on manually. The blind spot monitoring that my tester has is optional. You have to at least get the technology package to get that blind spot monitoring. But really, this is such an all-around great vehicle that has, you know, decent room in the back seat. It's got, you know, good visibility. It drives nice. You know, aside from the really old infotainment system, that's kind of my issue, and the, you know, weak transmission. But let's talk about the fuel economy in this vehicle, because it is rated at 1925. I've been averaging around 21 miles to the gallon in my weeks worth of testing and mostly mixed driving. On the highway, I did get basically 25, 26 miles per gallon, so it's right on the money. And really, those 20-inch wheels are where it's kind of lowering it. It's pretty class competitive fuel economy, so I don't really know how Acura could improve that. Although there is a hybrid model available that does get 27 miles per gallon combined, which is better than this car. Although I haven't had a chance to drive that yet. That's for a different review. You know, as the perfect luxury family crossover vehicle, the MDX still excels in that regard, and it's easy to see why so many people, you know, take one of these home every year. Now, start-stop technology is what they added back in 2016. Basically, when you come to a stop, the engine's off. As I lift up my foot off the brake, it is a little bit slow. Some of the newer start-stop systems are a little bit quicker to respond in that regard. A lot of you may just find yourself turning it off, because it can be a little irritating when you guys are first, you know, setting off, especially if you're kind of in a rush trying to get, you know, away from the light. This car also does come with paddle shifters whenever the 9-speed auto starts to get on your nerves. And as you can see, it does a pretty good job at downshift rev matching. But I will say that the paddles are a little bit slow to respond. When I flick the paddle, it rev matches okay, but when I upshift, it does take a slight, you know, hesitation. Also, the shifts, they could be quicker. I'm just surprised that the shifts they feel a little sluggish. But it does make a decent noise when you start going through the gates. But keep in mind, most of you probably won't even use the paddles. They're mounted to the wheel. But it does make this SUV even more fun to drive, especially if you get tired of how sluggish the 9-speed will feel. You can kind of try to take control of the gears yourself, but know that they aren't the quickest paddles when you start using them. So coming back to my original question, is the 2019 MDX still the king of the 3-row luxury crossover segment? Well, there are definitely a lot of new competition that's entering this segment. Really, a lot of my personal favorites were centered around the Volvo XC90, but as you guys saw from this video, the MDX still has a lot of strong qualities, from its impressive value to its comfortable interior, its spacious second and even usable third rows, to the appearance package that this A-Spec model gives you. I mean, from the, you know, nicer wheels, the really beautiful blue paint color, it's a rather attractive looking SUV that's still a lot less expensive than a lot of its main competition. And really, the weaknesses with the MDX are centered around its still kind of fumbly 9-speed automatic transmission and that very, very dated infotainment system, but it does include things like Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. But with all that said, if you guys don't care about having the newest infotainment system or, you know, that European badge, what's it going to cost to put a 2019 MDX in your driveway? Well, this vehicle starts at $44,300 for the base front-wheel drive model. Most of you are probably going to add super handling all-wheel drive for $2,000, and then most of you are probably also going to add the tech package that gives you the upgraded sound, the Acura navigation system, in addition to a lot of other features. That's about $5,000 extra. This A-Spec model includes the tech package and then adds another $3,500 for all the pieces and the sportier look. To me, that's kind of a little bit of a waste of money. I would personally go for the advanced model that's about $2,000 higher than this A-Spec version, which this one is around $56,000. The advanced is $58,000. That'll give you things like the 360 camera, the heated second row seats, the heated steering wheel, the rear window sunshades. That to me kind of gives you everything that most buyers in this segment are looking for. And at $58,000 fully loaded for an advanced model, it represents a very strong value in the luxury space. And I am looking forward to seeing what Acura does to the MDX when they finally redesign it. It's really just an infotainment system and a new transmission away from being still one of the best three-row luxury crossovers on the market. But I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on this 2019 MDX A-Spec. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, make sure you follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews. Like us on Facebook. And as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.